Boatworks today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexseal Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. So, welcome back everybody. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. My name is Andy with Boatworks today, and this week is a turning point from what we're going to be focusing and working on. So, in other words, no more shop stuff. The shop is done. So now it is time to get back to normal. Now, something that I realized when I was putting this video together is that it's been a long time since I've done anything on this boat. I mean, we're talking several months. And throughout that period, there's been a lot of new people that have come onto this channel and subscribed to this channel. And I'm guessing they're probably not familiar with anything, related to this project, what's been done up to this point, kind of how I got it, what the future plans are with it, or really any of that. So I thought it would be helpful just to put together a very brief kind of overview, kind of quick little summary as far as what's been done up to this point, and just to kind of bring everybody up to speed so everybody from this point going forward is at least they're going to be starting all on the same page. Now, the videos over the past year or so, they've been kind of a little bit scattered. So what I'll do then is I'll put all the videos that are related to this boat together in a playlist, and then I will have a link to that playlist down below in the description. So if you're going through this quick little highlight reel and you see something that kind of catches your eye, it looks kind of cool, I will have all of that listed down below inside that playlist, and yeah, check it out. So this is a 1972 Bertram Moppie 25. And I took this boat in on trade, well, as a partial trade, barter, whatever you want to call it, about 12, 13 years ago, give or take. And when I got it, to be quite honest, when I first gave it its first look over, I was really impressed. I mean, I thought for the most part that it just needed a little bit of finishing and it would be ready to, and engines, but a little bit of finishing and some power and it would be done and ready to go. So basically, I didn't have any engines or anything for it at that point, so it sat in storage for quite a while, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years now. And just within the past 2 or 3, I've finally gotten my hands on a couple of Honda 135s that I purchased from the Douglas County Sheriff's Department when they repowered all of their fleet. Now, originally, as most Bertrams did, this particular one had twin inboards. I think it was little 4 cylinders. And the previous owner, the person that I got this boat from, had done quite a bit of work, but one of the things that he did was also to convert that from twin inboards to basically putting on this Armstrong bracket so that it can accommodate twin outboards. Now, as I had just mentioned a minute ago, on the surface, it looks like it was in great shape. Again, the first time I looked at it was just a real quick, it was middle of winter, and it was just a real quick 5 minutes, kind of jump up inside, take a quick little poke here and there, and call it done. So this was taken in as a partial trade or a barter against another Bertram from that same owner that I was restoring at that time. So then after his project, the one that I was actually doing for him, after that one was done, then we signed over the paperwork and this became my boat. Now again, I hadn't touched it in years and never really even gave it a look. It was just out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing. So a couple of years ago, when I actually brought it in and started working on it as my personal project, again, this is my boat, all right? This is not a customer's boat, this is mine. I brought this in and I haven't quite decided if I'm gonna end up keeping this when it's all said and done, or if I'm going to, maybe let someone else, enjoy it. Someone that may have a little bit more time in the day to actually take it out and enjoy it. We'll figure that out when I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But once I started actually poking around inside and, kind of taking things apart, that's when I kind of realized even though a lot of work had been done, so a new paint job, what looked like to me was all new glasswork, I thought everything was done. Well, everything was done. I can't quite say that it was done the way that I would have done it. I guess I'll, kind of keep things polite here. Essentially, all the structural work that was done on here was done with 5200 in screws. There was very little fiberglass work, very little resin, and it just, the closer you looked at it, the whole thing just seemed, I don't know, it left me wanting, put it that way. So essentially, rather than being able to get started on the finishing aspects of this boat right away like I was anticipating, unfortunately what that meant is that I had to go back and basically rip out all of the work that had been done and then redo all of that before I can even start to think about the finishing stages here. So that's all right. it is what it is. You know, that's this way out. This way I will know top to bottom what's been done and how it's been done, and I know that it'll be done correctly. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the highlight video. So real briefly, the issues I was trying to correct up on that foredeck is that basically that entire foredeck was kind of like a trampoline. Again, not knowing what the previous owners had done, it just seemed that all the strength and stiffness that should be up on that deck were gone. Now, I don't know if it was just all sanded off, if it was peeled off. I don't know. You know, I don't know what all they did. All I do know is that when I was walking around, it was a lot of flexing, and then every other step was a big major crack. And whenever you hear like fiberglass cracking like this, yeah, that's really not a good thing. Now, something to keep in mind here is that all those little stress cracks that I showed you just a minute ago, all those have kind of cropped up since this work was done. Now, this boat had never seen the water or done anything. It lived on the trailer since all the previous owner's work was done. And just in the matter of just sitting on the trailer, all those stress cracks came right back. So again, whatever they did, it didn't, let's just say it didn't hold up. But addressing all of that, I guess the way that I did, grinding them out, putting in the new layers of glass, and then 2 full layers of 1708 over the entire foredeck. Well, it made a huge difference. I mean, you can jump and stomp around up there right now and there's no cracking, there's no flex, so it's all good. So now all of the structural work up on that foredeck is done. Now, I didn't bother with any of the finish work because basically the way I'm going to approach this boat is I'm going to do all of the structural work start to finish, top to bottom, and the whole thing. I want all the structural work on the boat done. And then once I'm at that point, then I'll just completely switch gears and then get into the finishing work for the entire boat. So I'm not jumping back and forth using different tools, and it's just whatever. It's just the way I like to do it. You know, I'm sure to each their own if you'd like to do it some other way. Now, with that said, for the time being, the foredeck is done. So now I'm gonna switch gears and kind of move aft. We're gonna get into the main, I guess, cockpit area, as well as start to open up the transom a little bit. So as of right now, pretty much where you saw me leave off with the transom, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Now again, this quick little highlight thing, these are just little snapshots. If you're looking for a lot more of the, I guess, the nitty gritty or the detail of kind of what was involved with each step, again, check that out in the playlist down below. Now, for going forward from here, the focus is going to be I want to get the transom finished. Then I can kind of switch gears a little bit and start getting into more of like finishing out the storage areas and trying to, I guess, solidify the overall layout of the interior. So that's that's the part that I'll be quite honest, that's really what I'm looking forward to. Now, before I can do any of that, because it has been, I guess, quite a while since I've done any work on the boat or fiberglass work in general, I need to take a quick inventory of my supplies that I have on hand. So I know I'm pretty well set on fiberglass, I'm pretty sure. Now, so for me right now, the one question that I have is where I'm sitting as far as resins. Now, epoxy doesn't go bad. Not really. I mean, you have to really try to make it go bad. Now, polyester resins, meaning your laminating resins that you use for the fiberglass or any of your gel coats, those are a little bit of a different story here. Now, if poly-based materials, if they're stored properly, you can hold on to them for about a year, you know, a little give or take. I mean, a little bit longer if you actually store them correctly, a little bit less if you let them get hot and cold, you know, that kind of a thing. Now, I think all of the poly resin that I have on hand has been stored correctly. I don't even think any of them have been opened, and they've been in a pretty solid climate, you know, sense. But I've had them for about a year. Now, before I get started on laying up a bunch of glass, I really want to make sure that resin's going to set up. So before I do anything with the boat, I'm going to mix up some quick little test samples here, just to make sure that the resin actually does what it's supposed to do. So now, with that said, let's head over to the bench. So now I believe this is the oldest jug of poly resin that I have. So anything else that I have is at least newer than this. So in theory, if this one sets up just fine, then the rest, I shouldn't have any problems with. Same thing with the gel coat. Now I was out of gel coat with wax. This was the last order that Total Boat had sent to me, and it's just been in a box ever since. So they both came in the same order. So a little bit off of either one of these cans, if that sets up, then all of it should just be fine. So to get started here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour off 2 ounces of the laminating resin, and then I'm going to catalyze that around 2%. You can go down, as low as 1% if it's going to be in warmer weather, but I keep the shop here about 63 degrees. So it's a little bit on the cool side. So I'm going to do it, 2% is generally what I consider to be about the max that you catalyze it. So that's what I'm going to go at, and roughly speaking, that figures out to about 14 drops of MEC, of the hardener, per ounce of the resin. So 24 ounce, or so 2 ounces, I'm going to put in about 27, 28 drops of the MEC. Oh, I should mention, I should shake this up really well. I'll say, it's been a while since I've smelled the smell. Kind of like it. Make sure I scrape the bottom, scrape the sides. And I'm going to stir this for about 30 seconds. All right, now for the gel coat, I'm going to do the exact same thing, except I'm probably going to make a little bit more of a mess. I never have good luck pouring out of these gallon-sized containers. I wonder if it would be possible to get the gel coat in these kind of cans. Well, I'll have to ask him about that one. All right, now as a true test, I'm going to pour a little bit of this into a brand new cup. Now the reason I'm doing that is I want to see if the gel coat will still set up in a thin layer. Now gel coat, just the way that it is, it needs to have a certain amount of thickness in order for it to cure. Now I always have people comment on this in the past, but I always say that gel coat needs to have a minimum thickness of 20 mils. That is not millimeters. Mils, I believe, it's like a thousandth of a millimeter. I'm not a metric guy, so I might be off on that, but I know it's not millimeters. So basically, 20 mils is about the thickness of like 6 standard sheets of printer paper. So it's not real thin, but I should say not real thick. So I'm going to pour off about a 16th of an inch of thickness, which is still more than 20 mils, but I just want to see if that thickness is going to set up. If that sets up in that thickness, then I know I'm golden. I'll see what I'm doing here. I don't even know if it's going to pick up on camera, but I've got just the bottom of this cup just barely covered. So I'm going to leave these 3 things alone for a little while. I'll come back in probably about an hour and see what, if anything, is going on. This is what you're going to call winging it.
Winging it?
Winging it. You know what that means?
We're just throwing it all together.
That means making it up as you go.
That's what I do.
Yeah?
Like a drawing. Actually, I plan my drawings.
Yeah, okay.
I made 2 pretty cute blobby things with horns.
Cool. All right, ready? All right, so it has been about 2.5 hours, and although everything is not completely set up, I have a little visitor here, so I'm gonna cut this evening short a little bit, but things, at least the poly resin for the fiberglass has done what it's supposed to do, and the gel coat is set up, but it's not fully cured yet. Gel coat, for one reason or another, always takes longer to actually fully cure than this stuff. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But that's just how it is. And as far as the thin stuff, well, this is not fully cured yet, but I'm guessing this will be ready to go by morning. So, final follow-ups on this, that's going to have to wait until next week because, well, I've got a little munchkin here that's itching to get back to the house. So I'm gonna button this up. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this interesting. And if you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you in advance. Again, really appreciate that. Getting back on track. It's gonna be awesome. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave those down below and I will do my best to get back with you. And as always, I wanna thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. You wanna say something?
Goodbye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Have a great week and I'll see you next week.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.